Hi, this is Doug Robinson with DefEdit Software LLC, and in this video, I have something truly special to show you. I just stumbled upon one of the most brilliant ideas for manipulating data in Cherwell that I think I've had in at least several weeks. I've been playing around with the new string aggregate function that's available in SQL Server 2017, and I realized that with this, it's possible to serialize in a SQL view almost any subquery of data into very easily, I should say. It's now very easy to serialize almost any kind of data set into a nice one-liner XML collection and tie it to some other data. And what this means for me is it's now going to be a lot easier for me to take data that I need that's in 3 or 4, however many tables, and just start aggregating it up into XML collections and embedding them into each other, and then getting that into Cherwell and stepping through those XML collections using the newer step through collection and XML data type tools that were available in Cherwell 8. And in this video, I'm going to go over the first use case that I really came up with for this that really just blows my mind is we can, if we want to, we could serialize an entire list of the current user's teams just into a single record and make that available to them in a metric. And that's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to show you exactly what we can do with this string aggregate function. Sorry for the delay. And we're gonna build something with it. So here I have my Cherwell 901 database. Oh no, I don't want to sign up for Toad World. I get too many emails as it is. Okay, so we're in our Cherwell 901 database, and let's say I want to select everything from Trebuchet team member, and I need a left join on. I want to left join user info on, let me give this an alias, UI. On UI.recID equals, this needs an alias as well. That would be correct. So what this does right here is this ties together our user info and our team membership tables. So this should let us query our team membership data and our user info data. And what I just want to do right now is I'm going to grab UI.fullName and perhaps, hang on, we also need to left join team info. Team def ID. Okay, so here we're going to select UI.fullName, and then we're going to do a comma and ti.name. So this gives us a very simple list. We need to filter this to only where user infos are involved. So what I have to do for this, because I didn't write this down the last time that I did it, I didn't save it anywhere, is I just have to go into lookup tables and select user info and open up the BizOb ID. Go to advanced. Boom. Alright. So here's our first where clause. UI or ttm.user BizOb type ID equals. Boom. So here's our accurate list of users. And the reason we had to do that bit right there is just because the Trebuchet team member table in the out-of-the-box content, it's not just for users, it's for customers as well. Customers can be assigned to work groups. Work groups are technically the same thing in the system as teams. They're just teams for customers. And I think users can technically be assigned to a work group, but it doesn't happen frequently. Anyways, so here's our list of users per team. If I wanted to, I could break this up by user, and then I could serialize it to XML. Wouldn't that be great? So, for example, we could get, I have to think about how to do this. Give me one moment. Yeah, sorry, I had to pause for a moment. I had a brain fart. So what we would do here is we would just list every user. And we don't even necessarily need this team view here. What we would do is we would just have a subquery on our select for the user, and we'd have a subquery for one of these columns, and that subquery would just be a select everything from the or Trebuchet team member table with a join to team info where it matches that user. And we're going to do that right now. So instead of selecting from Trebuchet team member, we're going to select from user info, and this will be UI, and this will replace this one right here. And okay, so this one, user info, links Trebuchet team member, links team info. So we've got the user's full name, and that's great, and we've also got their list of teams. Now this should look fairly similar, except for you notice there's no blank values because we're only looking at user info, so it's validated from user info data. Now what we're going to do here is, well, first I'm going to break that out to a separate line. We're going to insert a subquery. So I'm going to add a comma here, and then that's going to be our name for our list. So our SQL for our subquery is going to be, if I can think off the top of my head, it's going to be something like select string underscore aggregate of, and then the value that we want to do here. So we're going to be doing string aggregate ti2.name because we're going to use team info a second time. And then we're going to have a delimiter here. Now, just to give you an illustration of what we're going to do here, our end goal for this list or this compilation is going to be, let's say, team list, and then a new line and a tab, and then here you'll have a team, and then you'll have the team name. Actually, so this, as far as formatting goes, that looks better. And then you'd have another team, and another name, and another ending name tag, until that was the end of your team, and then that's the end of your team list. So what we're going to do is we're going to serialize this out. So every time we get a team name in this column, we're going to add in the team section here. We're going to add in this before it. So really, we're going to take this, and before we select string, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this into quotes, and put that end quote right there. So what this does for me is it lets me add preceding text. So as an example, and we don't need this part here. Alright, so our XML collection starts off with team list and then team. And then we need a subquery to fill in the inner part of our XML collection. So the subquery fills everything from the end up to here. I actually needed to add name. And the reason for that is this subquery is going to fill in right here. It's going to say, get me the list of names, and for every name, actually I don't need this. Get me the list of teams, and for every team, add name, and then the name, and then, no, I'm wrong. It's going to be a delimiter. So it's going to start right here, and it's going to show the team name, and then whatever delimiter I specify, which will be the ending team name tag, the ending team tag, and then the next team tag. Now the reason it starts the next one off is because the delimiter only happens at the beginning of the next record, or at the end of each individual record. There's nothing that starts at the beginning, so we have to start off with our team list and team and name pre-written out right there, and then our subquery for our string aggregate is going to fill in all of the data all the way down to, all the way down to here, and then we can finish this one off, because the subquery, again, is going to do this, and this. And then at the end, we'll probably finish this one off. So here, we'll take a look at this. So we need name. And again, we can trial and error this as we go. So it'll make more sense here in a minute. So we're string aggregating every name, and oh, I almost used double quotes, by the way. That would have been bad. So the values that we want to put in here, again, are an ending name tag, and they have to be in reverse order. I always have problems with that. An ending team tag, a new team tag, and a new name tag. So at the beginning, this is only happening once, the team list, and then for each individual record we need to have a team XML element and a name XML element. So the first name gets started, and then every comma, every new row immediately appends the ending tag for the last row, the ending tag for team and name, and then starts the new one. And then at the very end, what we do is we add in the closing tags for the very end. So the very end ones are going to be really roughly the same. So at the end, there's not going to be a comma, there's not going to be a new line, so it's not going to know that it needs to close these out. So it needs to close the name tag first because that's our innermost value. It's going to be right here when it finishes, so we need to give it the end name element, the end team element, and the end team list element. Great. That should work. And so that's our team list as XML right there. Let's check. Oh, I didn't, we didn't put a from in here. That is my bad. I got a little carried away. We needed a from and a join. Doesn't necessarily have to be here. It'll be cleaner if we do it as user info. UI2, join, trebuchet team member ttm2 on ttm2.user.bizOb.recID equals UI2.recID and ttm2.user.bizOb.typeID. Actually, that part's not necessary. I'm debating on whether I should include it or not. If we're querying user info, you don't need it, but I want to put it in there just so that I get in the habit of it. So I'll just make a note of that. Anyways, so we're joining trebuchet team member, and we also need to join the team info, and that is a left join. Team ID, right? Yeah. ttm.team.def.id. Great. So, yeah, that should do it. That should do it. And then finally, we have a where clause where UI2.recID equals UI.recID. Ta-da! Look at this. This is beautiful. Sawyer Watson, team list. Here's a team. The name is first level support. That's the end of the name. That's the end of the team. There's another team. The name is first level support. That's the end of the name. That's the end of the team. Team list is done. This is an XML collection that we can step through using a one-step to give a user a list of the values in that list. And we're going to do that right now. I'm very excited about this. Let me see. Give me one moment. I have to do this in my version 9.3 system because, well, actually, no, I don't. I'm just going to create this as a view right here. Create view user XML team list as, and we're just gonna pop that in right there. Execute it successfully. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop in here, and we're gonna add that business object to our system. We're gonna add that SQL view to a business object. We're gonna create a new external business object. We're gonna link to data. It's our mapped Cherwell system definition. It's the same in every single system or map that I create. And you better bet this is going on the Map Exchange. You can hear it in my voice. I'm ecstatic about being able to do this. the thought like randomly crossed my mind earlier today, and I don't know. I need to let me drop that view. I forgot to put in an important value, which is the user's rec ID, because full name's not going to be unique, and unique values are super important when you're doing an external business object in Cherwell. If you want to know why they're important, it's because it actually groups by that unique ID. I don't know why. It's like an order by or a group by or something, and if there's a duplicate value, it screws up your whole search. It screws up everything. You won't even be able to load a form for a record that's not duplicated in that instance. It's weird. Anyways, I'm getting besides the point. New external business object. Like I was saying, I'm super excited about this because it means I'm going to be able to use data almost anywhere in the system. It's going to be really easy, just like what I did. It's going to be the SQL equivalent of the way that I build manual XML collections based off of a delimiter right now, because I do it all the time. I didn't modify my SQL view. I recreated it. I didn't modify it. Why didn't I modify it? Oh, I'm gonna put this right here so it's more readable. All right. Yep. Sorry, I meant to just select this so that I could test it. Rec ID! Yay! It is duplicated. It should not be duplicated. I think I did. Should that left be an inner? We don't need. Oh, right. We don't need this team member crap right here. This can actually all go. All we need is the subquery, which is beautiful. This is our query right here to get for every user the list of their teams in a one-step processable format that you will be able to use in a metric to access across the system. Multi-tenancy is going to get a lot easier because of this. Just the possibilities are just going to be great. I'm going to share this with every single person I know. You're going to see me post about it on LinkedIn. Just like it's going to happen. We don't need ti.name. Okay. It's going to be everywhere. Where is ttm.defid? I didn't... What was that error? ttm.teamdefid. Oh, I didn't put a 2 there. I was supposed to put a 2 there. There we go. And is the data duplicated? I don't believe it is. This is what we're creating our view with. So we're going to refresh views. Did I already delete it? Did I already delete that? No, I didn't. It just took 2 refreshes. Okay. So now we can create our view. If you're wondering why I'm creating it in SQL, I like working on Cherwell version 9.1 rather than 9.3 because I create my maps on version 9.1 because then they're backwards compatible. That's the entire reason, and so I like to stay in this system. All my cool fancy stuff is generally in this system. This is my dev environment until I've mapped it out, and then I test my maps on 9.3 as a courtesy to you guys because I don't want it to break on version 9.3 because it's out there. People are using it. I just, as a developer, kind of have to use a different version. So here's full name, rec ID, team list is XML. That's it. This is a painless process. This is no more difficult than any other some kind of serialization across multiple different tables I might ever have to do. And there's cases where I'm going to be able to do this where I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. I'm so happy. I know I keep saying it. It's because I really, really am. Now, the downfall to this is it's going to require SQL Server 2017, and because it uses a string aggregate function that's only available in SQL Server 2017, version 9.1 of Cherwell doesn't recognize that as valid SQL, so I had to create it manually. Anyways, so we're going to give this a form. It's going to have a lovely little form. It's going to have a lovely little grid, full name, team list is XML. Then we're going to publish that sucker. We're going to publish it right now. And as soon as this is published, I'm going to go and I'm going to create a metric. And I'm going to target that table with that metric. And then I'm going to use a one step, and it's going to retrieve the value from that metric. It's going to retrieve that lovely XML collection value. And it's going to be great. Except for I just realized I did not set a... Oh, it set the text as 8,000. That's perfect. So now we go into our Cherwell system. We go into our Cherwell system. I'm going to reload defs. And we're going to work on a one step. This is going to be really quick. This is going to let us get past a major data limitation that we have for getting data into our one steps. And it's been there as long as SQL 2017 has. We'll just call it user XML team list display. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use a variable. I'm going to name it user XML team list because it's going to store our user's team list in XML format, and that's going to be the name of our variable, and the data type's XML collection, and the way that we get our data is with a metric, which we're going to define right now. It's going to be under our lovely DefEdit Software LLC folder where all of the other really cool stuff happens. Give me a moment for the metric editor to pop up. Oh no. Is this it? Okay. I almost had a focus issue. Okay, so this one, user XML team list. Business object. We already have show all selected. That's great. Business object should start with sys. There we are. There we are. Our metric checks for a rec ID that's equal to current user rec ID because the rec ID comes off of the user info. Now right now, the way that I've built this, it's only going to work with user info. We could easily adapt this to customers if you have a multi-tenant solution that involves customers. That's fine. We're not optimizing for database performance. That's it. So data type is text. First text value, there's only going to be one value because we're matching our unique user info. So it's going to return the first team list as XML value. By the way, quick side note, if you've never done this before, you can use metrics to look up arbitrary data in Cherwell by identifying a data record by a unique value such as a rec ID, and then using a text data type to pull out the first or last value of that one result record. Make sure you don't optimize for database. And then when you apply this, there's just one other catch-all. Hit show advanced and then check reload the current cache value each time metric's requested. What that does is it doesn't cache it. It rechecks that value every time, which is important if your metric data changes, because otherwise it will save it for a while and it may not be accurate. This ensures it's accurate. So if we make changes to this team list, it'll update in real time. Anyways, that's all fancy and stuff. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to step through an XML collection, and I accidentally dragged the step through children action. We're just gonna collapse that there. We don't need that one in this video. So we've got a step through XML user list right here. And our variable that we're going to use for that is user XML team list. Item variable name, current team. And we drill through this, and in here we grab team name list variable. Team name list equal to itself plus, and here's where it is, current team with modifier, XML modifier, string from element, name. Why is it a string from element name? Well, we're stepping through a collection on team list. Team list is the XML collection. When we step through an XML collection, it steps through every similar record underneath it. It knows that there's a list of elements that all have the same node, and so every time we step through a collection, our current item variable name is this. This is the contents of that variable, and this is why instead of just going team and then the name of the team, I do team and then a separate XML element for name so that I can use a string from element modifier to grab the value between the start name tag and the end name tag. And it also makes it nice and organized in case we need to add other fields onto this later. So with all that said, we're doing a string from element to get the name value because this is our XML data for our variable, and here's a child XML node, and string from element gives me the string between these two elements. Done. Save. Now we display a pop-up, and this pop-up is going to tell me, here's the list of teams you belong to. That's it. I don't believe I'm a member of Teams, but we're going to fix that. We're going to fix that, and simultaneously we're going to test out the fact that this updates in real time. So let me find CSD admin. I'm just so excited. This idea made my day. Just so you know, I'm having a really good Sunday. I spent yesterday working on my car, and I was up all night working on my car because I didn't realize how difficult it was to remove a strut from a car because I was replacing them on my own. So I didn't sleep last night. So I've been having a pretty okay day, but this makes today a great day. Look at that. Look at that beautiful list. What does this mean for you? This means you can check whether that value holds a certain value. And that means if you have a multi-tenant system and you need a security right that checks whether or not you have access to something that's labeled with a specific tenant, for example, here's how you do that. You say, does my team name list contain a certain value, or does my user XML team list contain a certain value? Here's our team name list. What we want to check is, does this, we want an expression. We want a custom expression, and here we want to say tenant check. Let's say one of our tenants is just first level support. I want to check whether my variable for the team name list is like % first level support. That means first level support is somewhere in that list. Anything or nothing could come before it. That's what that wildcard's for in Cherwell. And anything or nothing could come after it. Click OK. And then just real quick, I want to make this have a fancy format. Logical values can have formats, so you can tell a logical value to show yes or no really easily this way. And I'm gonna give that a little bit of text too, so it's not just a floating yes. So this now checks whether you're a member of first level support. Yes, you are. You sure are. And if we take this user out of first level support, that becomes a no. So here's CSD admin. Oh, I almost deleted my account. I didn't mean to do that. This is what happens when you share well with no sleep. I am sharewelling with no sleep. But I'm happy. I'm happy. I built something really cool today that I'm probably going to use once a week for the next year. Now I'm not a member of first level support because it's not in the team list. There you go. Now I'm going to put this into a map. You're going to see this on the map, and you're going to have a really easy way of getting this data onto your machine or onto your environment where you can just query the list of, let's say, teams a user is a member of. And the reason for that is someone asked for this on the community site recently, and my response was, there's not an easy way to do that. I can't think off the top of my head how you could get that. What they were asking for was if you could do it as a system function. And for me, the answer to that is you'd have to have an automated process do that if you want it as a system function. You have to save it. Metrics are very similar to system functions. I think I've done a video at some point, maybe not for this channel. I've even built system functions that were just metrics, metrics that query a user info or customer table with a value and return it, because you can do so with a metric from almost anywhere in the system. This is going to be just like that, and we can do that with teams. We can do that with any other table that you can provide a list of, here's the data that goes with this unique record, show me an XML collection for it. And it's going to be 15 minutes for me or anyone else who knows how to do this to go and get that data into the system, and it's going to be great. If you have any questions about this, leave a comment in the comment section. I will gladly respond to it. You can reach out to us through our website, which is defeditsoftware.com. You can reach out to me directly at doug@defeditsoftware.com if you want to just email me. And if you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe. Subscribe and you'll get notified every single time I upload a video, which is usually on the weekends. Usually on the weekends I spit out between 2 and 4. Anyways, thanks for watching.